Hi everyone, and I want to talk about why authors aren't thought of as influencers. Because there was somebody talking today. I was in a bar, and there was people talking about some influencer and something was going on, and I thought, isn't it strange that authors aren't thought of as influencers? Because a while ago I was watching something on the internet on YouTube, and I had all these influencers. I had people from OnlyFans and this and that and all the rest of it. And this guy who even sold hardware. And I thought, wait a minute, these people, what holds them together essentially is that they promote and sell on the internet. And I thought, but that's basically almost every author in the world. Certainly, almost every professional author promotes and sells on the internet. And yet, we are not thought of as influencers. Maybe some of us don't want to be thought of as influencers, but we are not thought of as influencers. And the thing is, why? Is it because we're artists? Because, an author is a creative person, we're a type of artist. We're not just creatives, you know. Like a makeup artist is a creative. Nothing wrong with being a makeup artist, but it's not the same as being an author or being a painter. It's different, you know. You get some makeup artists are really, really good and are really creative, and maybe they are bordering on art. But generally speaking, it's not. It's a creative, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. But authors are artists. That's what we are. We by the nature of what we do. But the thing is, we do all the things influencers do, except we create the content. Not all of them do that. Not all of them create that. We create the product and we promote. And I think the promotion we do, we don't get full credit for because it's a lot more difficult to sell books than it is to sell women's knickers or porn or all the other stuff they're selling. Trust me on this, selling books is difficult. It's not easy. Oh, hi, we got something there. It's not easy to sell books. It's a difficult thing to market. And the thing is, why aren't we thought of as influencers? Because there's no reason. There's no reason at all why we shouldn't be thought of as influencers, but we don't. I think it's about separating people off and getting special events and things like that. Oh, we've got influencer events, and we can invite these people along and they can do all the little, and yes, I'm doing the annoying thing with the fingers, and you can do all the little special things, and we can get them along and they can do this because they're influencers and they are special. Yeah. But if almost every author on the planet is an influencer, they look a lot less special because let's face it, they're not. It's not that special. Yeah. Everybody does this nowadays. A lot of people do, you know. Not, I'm sure authors don't just do it but even painters. And get painters who promote and sell their works of art on the internet. Now, okay, they're not trying to sell a million of something. They're trying to sell one of a particular painting or maybe prints, but that is still an influencer. There'll be artists out there that are on YouTube and video sites and on the video sites and talking about this and using social media and doing this to promote and sell, but they're not influencers because they are artists. Well, that is bullshit, okay? But what we're doing is we're trying to put people on a pedestal for bugger all reason, simply because, oh, this is nice and this is, oh, we're like this, because we're creating false things for people. We're creating things. Yeah, it seems that the less content you have, the less substance, the more of an influencer you are. Is it that the things that authors do are classed as clever? Is it the influencers can't be thought of as clever? Now, I'm not saying influencers aren't clever. You probably have some very clever influencers out there, but they can't be thought of as being clever. You know, he's being thought of as being a bit thick, a bit of an advantage for an influencer. You know, is it one of those things? Is it an advantage to be thought of as being a bit of a thickie? You know, I mean, what's it all about? But that's the thing. It's and they have influencer events and things like this, which it seems to some of this seems to be about keeping authors out, keeping other people out of this, trying to create this. Yes, and these people are special. We want to keep all these people out. You know, really, that's what you want to do when I keep everyone out. Because if you have to keep them all out, you know, damn good. You know, because in what I do, anyone can write a book. There's nothing to stop you. There's nothing at all. You need a computer to write on. That's true. Everyone's got one. Let's be honest. You need a computer to type on. You need something to type with. You can find publishers using the internet. You can send them away. There's nothing that you don't have access to. The only thing you need is the required talent, the required ability. Yeah, that's all you need. So if they're trying to keep people out, then let's be honest, there's a problem. They realize the problem that they're not that special. Because they do pay for promotion, a lot of these people. They paid for promotion to build things up, and that's how they do it. They pay for promotion. And there's also influence organizations like agents and things like this. I'm thinking, well, is that really a thing? You know, is this just a way of keeping people out again? You know what I mean? The agents know things other people don't know to keep them out. Because yeah, you get agents in writing, you get literary agents, but people do function without them, and people have professional careers without literary agents. But I don't know if that happens with influencers, whether influencers do. You know, why aren't authors influencers? We do all the same things, but and more. That's the problem. We do more. We don't do less. We do all the things they do, and we do extra ones as well. We have to do all they do and more. And we're selling a much more difficult product. Because I mean, your classic influencers selling clothes. You know what? Everybody wears bloody clothes. We all wear clothes. Not everybody reads books. Some people don't like books. Some people are dyslexic. Where, let's be honest, there's nobody doesn't wear clothes. Even nudists wear clothes some of the time. You know, everybody wears clothes, so that they're on a safe bet there straight away. It's an easier job, an easier thing to do. You know, and you have ones to do with, of course, do with food, and everybody eats. You know, there's no challenge there really. But not everybody buys books. You know. And that's the thing. Why aren't authors thought of as influencers? Because we should be. We should be thought of as influencers alongside everybody else, so we have access to the same things, you know? Because you don't really get access to that if you're an author. I've heard of journalists being classed as influencers, a journalist who was coupled with being a model. And I've heard that the model is the important part there, I think. But a journalist, because you think, journalists, that's sort of like, they write stuff all the time. They're like in newspapers and things, they're influencers. But why the hell isn't I write things all the time, you know? And the social media is large. I mean, I don't know how much you've got. I've got loads of social media accounts on, multiple accounts on everything, you know? And it's just the way it works, you know? But we're not thought of as that. We're not thought of as the influencer. And there's book of all reason why not. We just not thought of as being one of those. We can't do that. You know, we're not allowed to classify ourselves as that. And it means that we don't have access to things. We don't have access to the agents for influencers that other people do. Basically, we don't have access to it. We're kept out. You know? So if you're some sort of, I don't know, you're an Instagram model who highlights all filters all the stuff, or on TikTok, and you bought loads of money on promotion, you can get access to an agent to help you build your following. But you can't if you're an author, because we're not classed as influencers. And we do all the same things that influencers do and more, but we're not classed as that because we're clever. And that's what I think it is. We're classed as being clever, so we're not allowed in. We're artists. Artists aren't allowed to be influencers because it's a thing for creatives. And let's be honest, creatives, it's not as difficult as being an artist. It's easier. It's a much easier thing to be. You know, to be a creative is a much easier thing than to be an artist. It's a much, much, much more difficult thing to be. I've got nothing against creatives, but it's an easier thing to do, you know? But you see, they're part of advertising. Creatives are part of advertising, where really authors aren't. You know, when it comes down to it, I suppose literature and things like this aren't thought of as part of advertising. We are advertised sometimes and we are promoted, but we're not thought of as part of that. But even then, normally, publishers expect us to do our own promotion a lot of the time. That's it. You know, you've either got some publishers which simply put stuff out there, and they've got a big following. That happens. So that's the publisher I've got. Most of the other publishers expect you to promote your stuff. That's standard. They expect you to do promotion, free promotion. They don't pay you for that. They don't pay you to do that promotion. It's not paid. No, they'll pay you. You have to do the promotion as well as. So that's your expense. That's a you expense. That's not their expense. That's a you expense. Yeah. So you've got to do the videos of your books. If you do a video of a book coming out, I mean, I have about 50 or 60 books a year. I mean, over the last 10 years, I wrote 70 a year, but probably about 50, 60 at the moment. I'm hoping to be 60 this year. But the bottom line is that's a you expense. You know, you have to do the video. You have to go there and do all these things and do that, you know. Authors do photo shoots. I've done one. Other authors have done photo shoots before. You know, we do these things, you know, that they do. We all have social media. We have, a lot of us have got web series, and I'm on the Internet Movie Database. I'm on there. We'll have all these things. We're there all the time. The only difference is some of us use multiple names. Like I write as S. Rob, but also as Simon Rob. Right on here. And that's not something influencers do. I don't think they do that. You know, influencers don't really do that. They simply write as one name, you know. Uh, they just do things as one name, one brand. But that's basically just because of the amount of stuff. I've wrote 707 books, not all out yet. I'm waiting for one to come out, but 707 books. And there's simply so many books as S. Rob that were difficult to find. So I had to start writing as Simon Rob as well. So I'm writing a lot of books as Simon Rob, but the most books are as S. Rob. And it's as simple as that, you know? It just comes down to that. There's simply so many of these things here that there's no choice but to put them out there and to do your thing, you know, and that's it, you know, it's just the way it works. You can't do any other way. And again, that's the same sort of thing, because we're sort of, in some respects, are trying to stop people like me from putting lots of stuff out, putting lots of books out. You know, that's what I firmly believe, you know, it'd be the big publishers trying to stop it, because I think, Christ, we don't want to be dealing with this many people as competition, many books, as competition. So they get to the companies and they tell the companies to do this and that and restructure this so it's different to search these many books and all the rest of it, you know, and that's what they basically do, you know, they do that, they have their own things that they do, you know. It's fair enough, because that's business, to be honest. It's business, it's the way business works. I think you've got to stop that to some extent, because you're talking monopolies position where they're basically trying to make monopolies themselves into monopolies. And I think when they get even close to that, you should stop it. So I think the government should get involved in and stop some of the large publishers being quite as large and influential, to stop them getting, because they're too close to a monopoly, and to make it so that the world is a little bit fairer and people have more choice as well. Because the big publishers will not take chances; they'll only publish the things they know that are guaranteed dead certs. Which is why we're full of bloody celebrity books, ghost written by somebody else. That's right; the celebrities don't write their own books. And that's another problem, because soon you'll get, if you don't already, you'll get influencers with books ghost written, because these bookers won't be able to write a book. You know, they won't be able to write a book in the slightest. So what happens is someone like me has to write it. Now that's another problem. If I'm classed as an influencer, who the hell's going to write their books for them? I mean, I don't ghostwrite, but if we all are influencers, why would we ghostwrite for somebody else in competition with our books as influencers? We wouldn't. You know, we're there to serve other people. We're there to make other people look good. The mainstream media, the main hub of it, if the truth be known, the main hub outside of books itself, but in like marketing and things like this, sees authors as a way of making celebrities look clever and influencers look clever, basically. And some of them are, but some of them aren't. But even the ones that are want to look clever or look cleverer, so they do that by hiring people in to write books for them. As long as this person's wrote a book, and sometimes they supposedly wrote a whole load of books. And some of these people, you look at them and thinking, can they fucking read? These people can't. I'm not convinced these people can read, but they supposedly wrote a whole load of books, and this is ridiculous. They can't read. They haven't read these. They haven't wrote these books. They haven't wrote them. It doesn't work. It's just bullshit, you know. It's the same bullshit that they've been peddling for ages, you know. You know. You know, and that's the thing. Authors are influencers. It's part of who we are, part of what we do nowadays. I do know people that don't promote online are authors, but not many. It's not a whole lot. We basically all promote online. And that for me, I mean, I haven't done as much video as I've done this. I do it on TikTok, but I do video, I do so all the social media, or most social media sites. I've done web series, I do posts, I post links, I do pictures, I do everything. Okay. I've even appeared in magazines to promote it, not just magazines about it, but magazines with pictures in of me, simply there to put the social media links in. That's right. Pictures of me where they're not necessarily great magazines, but magazines to appear in. They're not like on the cover of Vogue, but to get in, which I knew I'd get in simply to post the social media links. We literally do anything, almost anything, in order to get promotion. You know, in order to promote our books. That's what we do. You know. We do at least as much as the influencers do, probably more. Most of us have a bigger following, to be honest. I think the difference is we're not necessarily on one site. Influencers tend to build towers. They tend to build themselves on one or two sites, you know. Whereas an author, as what I write, is writing occultism, I'm always aware they're going to try to tear you down at some point. So I'm in lots of different sites. So I don't even you can't even see me by looking at one Facebook page because I've got numerous Facebook pages. I have more than one page. So it's different. It's not really the same thing. I'm not building towers. I'm building like a mass like that. So it's difficult to escape from, difficult not to see me. That doesn't always work as well as the strategies used to because the search engines change things. The reason was that's the strategy that the Hollywood pictures make use. Hollywood used that strategy. When they put out a big blockbuster, you are surrounded by it. You cannot avoid it. It's on bloody bus shelters. It's all over the internet. It's everywhere. And that is what I did. I put it so there's lots of things. So on the internet, it's around you and it's there. But it doesn't work as well now, that strategy. To be honest, it doesn't work as well because, at least for rankings on the search engines, because you have to pay for that strategy. I want you to pay for that strategy and not get it for free. Okay. But I mean, it's still good for selling because they still have people on the social media sites, but it doesn't get ranked. Your sales and things and your links come from social media to the social media, not from Google to the social media. That's how it works, you know. I mean, I'm guessing, but I must have at least 100,000 followers across the different sites, probably more, but at least 100,000 if you added them all together. It's certainly a lot, okay? And there's people out there with very, very little that are classed as influencers with have very small followings, you know. It's also going to be a female thing to some extent. You do get male influence, but it seems that they seem to think of it as a young female thing, because it's the bullshit. Oh well, you know, young people understand the internet. People over 20 don't understand the internet. Bullshit. I understand the internet at least as well as any young person, probably better, because it's part of what I do. I'm not just sitting on the internet prattling about going on like they do. I'm actually doing things on the internet. It's part of my work. I understand it at least as well as they do, probably better than most of them do. And it's idea they've got, oh yes, we've got this advantage because they weren't around when the computer was there. No, I was around when the computer was there. I remember the bloody Sinclair Spectrum. I can remember that. I can remember that before the internet. I can remember the internet being created and how it evolved. I got everything, not just that little bit at the end, but the whole bloody lot. You know, I've got the whole lot of the information about it, you know, and I know how to promote on the internet, but it's that whole idea now we're going to have, it's got to be young people that don't like the idea. And maybe it's young people being bigoted against people who aren't as young as they are as well, you know, the idea, yes, well, this has to be for us because we're young and we're wonderful and we're young. I'm sorry, being young isn't always wonderful. You can be wonderful and be a bit crap. I know your generation don't want to hear that, but it's a fact. And you can be old and crap. You know, it's like the old chestnut. Oh, when you get older, you get wiser. Not necessarily. When I was younger, I realized there was a lot of people who were older that weren't any wiser, that hadn't gained in wisdom at all. And I'm older now, and I realize it's exactly the case. A lot of them don't gain in any wisdom. They've gained in absolutely nothing. They don't have any wisdom at all. They've gained nothing with age. It happens. And you get young people that aren't exactly dynamic, wonderful selves either. It happens. That's real life. That's what life's like. Just make, for God's sakes, it isn't you. But it happens. You know, that's the thing. But it's not like the idea, oh, this is for the young and has to be for the young and the young and the young and the young. I'm sorry, people of all age buy stuff. I buy stuff on the internet all the frigging time. I buy books, I buy clothes, I buy things on the internet. I buy stuff, okay? So if I want to buy stuff on the internet, I'm entitled to see somebody who isn't 16. I don't mind someone who's young. It's nice to see young people doing well. But the bottom line is, if you exclude or you try to keep out the people who are older, we'll stop frigging buying on the internet. We'll buy elsewhere. That's the bottom line. We have the power to change and to move somewhere else. We don't just have to buy from one place. We can move and buy elsewhere, okay? We do not have to go and to buy from the same place because everyone is there. We can buy other elsewhere as well, you know? And there's more older people in society. And the bottom line is, in the ancient world, people lived 30 was your maximum lifespan. Forget all this 3 years and 10 bullshit. That was added later in most of the Roman Empire. 30 was your maximum age, and that was the posh people. That was the rich people, how long they lived. And it was the same in most of the ancient world. 30 was your maximum age, which means and 30 was old. That wasn't mean you were young. You died at 30. You were old man at 30. which means we spent our life old or middle age. That's how we spent most of our life. We spend most of our life older middle age. So get used to being an older population, because there's going to be more and more older population, because everybody gets old and we're all living longer. And I don't think we're going to have to live hugely long. It's just the lifespan we've got right now is enough for people to live longer. Okay? That's the bottom line. The bottom line is, you'll get to an age where, say, if you're a gym bunny, you'll get to an age when you'll need to change your workout, quite possibly, because you won't be able to do it anymore as it is. And see, the internet's full of people, telling you to do it at this age and how you do it at that age and whatever. And although it's individual for the person, that's a fact. That's just the way it works. That you'll probably have to do that if you're a gym bunny, because you'll live long enough to outlive your youth. So you'll have to change things around at some point. I don't think you necessarily know. When you get to about 50 or something, you're probably going to change it. Or before then, you might have to reduce repetitions. We just wait a little bit, but mostly it's the reps, right? And the people lose first. There's the repetitions that most people lose. All depends on the individual. It can be different for different people. You will change. It will happen. So the idea, you're going to be kept up because you're too old or because you're not doing what we want you to do. I mean, this is just bullshit. Okay, it's marketing, but it's the marketing people trying to keep it to themselves. No, we're marketing people. We're marketing. We are very clever. We're fashion. We're marketing. It's like, yes, we're marketing. You know what? This stuff is bloody easy. It's just not as difficult. Art is difficult. What they do is easy. These are all the dropouts that couldn't make it as an artist. These are people that got the degrees in art and all the other subjects, couldn't manage it and went into advertising. That is what you're looking at most of the time. Yeah. You're just looking at posh people using connections to get in. Most of the time is what you're looking at. That's all it is, And they want to keep control. And they don't want a lot of artists around because they feel inferior, because they know it's more difficult, Well, suck it up, buttercup, because that's life. That's the way it works, And the idea that you get to excluding certain people because you think what they do is too clever is based on the reflects on you. The public are quite clever. A lot of the public are clever, and they buy things and they buy clever things. It happens all the time, I mean, you've got people doing TV series on physics and things like this, and people watch them. They wouldn't be making if they weren't watching them. Professor Brian Cox did a stadium tour, a great big huge show to do with physics. It wouldn't have done it if people weren't watching it. People are cleverer than you think they are. The only problem is that the people in charge think people are stupid because they are. They really, if that's what it comes down to, these are shallow people. They have no idea about any of these things at all. They're not going to learn art or science or anything else like this. All they want to know is that, this underwear looks nice. Oh, look at this. We'll have her promote that frock. I said, come on. Is that the depth you've got? Is that the only thing you think that people in society care about? So, like I said, authors as influencers. Authors are influencers. We don't get recognition as influencers, but we are influencers. We should be invited to all influencer events. There should be authors there because we are influencers just as much as they are. And that is what I believe. Leave comments below. Okay, bye.